You are about to listen to the Neverdaily podcast.
This is the biggest thing since the Zapruder film.
So many questions.
I don't have any answers.
But please don't stop listening
To the Neverdaily podcast.
Making your way in the world today takes everything you
got.
Chase, you're up. Making your way through all your troubles sure would help a
Lot.
Jess, you're up. Wouldn't you like to get
away?
Now, all of us unmute. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name. Bum, bum,
Everybody
bum,
knows your name.
and you're always
you
glad you
came.
came.
I came.
Now, just Chase. You
We want to go where the people,
know
all troubles wash away.
Same. Can't
We want to go where everybody knows your name.
just take the last 2 words. Your name.
Your name.
Da-na-na-na-na-na. That was great, guys.
Nobody knows your name.
Welcome to the Neverdaily podcast, where we sing together. We have one rule here: we either sing together or we don't sing at all.
So let's not sing at all.
That's one way to do it.
I can only imagine.
I was telling my sister, I was telling you guys that my sister Katie listens to True Crime listens to all the shows, and so she's she'll Marco me, but the first 20 seconds of her Marco is always her just breathlessly laughing like she can't. You know, with Marco Polo, like are you like me where you'll watch a whole funny thing that somebody's doing like this dead face, and then when you press the record button, you're like, yeah. Well, I genuinely believe she somehow finds the button to open Marco to hit record, and she's still laughing the whole time. It's genuine. So whatever you do, which I'm so mad about, you're touching the heart. You're touching my sister, and thank you for that.
Okay.
Anyway, the other night when I slept on my other sister Hannah's couch, Katie is
everybody has ever been grateful for me touching their sister.
Yep, I am. And I want to tell you, I wish there were more members of my family that you've touched. You've touched my mom. You've touched my sister. You touched my sister's little boy. And what, like, that brings a tear. Bo thinks you are like a superhero. And no matter what I tell him, he won't stop believing it. Anyway, yeah, the other night I'm sleeping on Hannah's couch because of my trip home, which we really didn't get into. We won't. We don't have to. I'll just say that it went like all my other trips home from Horror Hound, where I end up coming home 2 days later than I really ever wanted to because of flights. Anyway, I slept on my sister's couch. The night before, though, it was really cool. I got to spend time with my sister Hannah, and I got to spend time with Katie and Katie's kids, Lexi and Trevor, who I have now named Tremor because he's a CrossFit god. And he looks so good. Like, Lexi and Trevor are both CrossFit people, and they look so good. I hate them. Does that make sense?
That's fair. Yeah.
But I love them at the same time. I think I know what serial killers feel now. So I love and hate them, but they both were there, and it was so good to catch up with them. And then Brady, Katie's boy, who's a junior, showed up, and he barely fits through the door. That kid is like a freaking Viking. But anyway, we all sat there while Katie breathlessly laughed, rewinding the part of True Crime Kent where you did the whole I can only imagine church prom, where you're like, all the songs there were kind of the songs where there's no way you're never going to pop a finger in during the song.
Yeah.
And then you were like, I could only imagine, like you do that part.
I can only imagine.
Yeah. And then you cut to your date just going, only after marriage.
Oh no, you'll never get in this.
She loves that hee so much. She
No Johnner for you.
5 straight minutes of her recording that little tiny part, 15 seconds over, and then she'd be like, just one more time, and then we'll quit. So anyway,
I always find it interesting the things that people latch onto and think are really funny because it's never what you expect it's going to be.
Yeah, it's
like
not.
I'll get a message like, I liked it when you said that thing, and I'm like, I didn't know. Did I say that?
Well,
I didn't even know I said it.
It's weird. Is like it gives you a little bit of a insight into like we are 1 million miles away from being anything that you could even call celebrity or anything like that. But it gives you a little bit of a glimpse into like we all do it, right? How many times have you watched Friday the 13th?
Which one?
Yeah, exactly. My point. Exactly.
I've seen them all. I don't even know how many times.
So when you approach Kane Hodder about Friday the 13th, you got things that are embedded in your heart. And when you say them, he may not even, he's going to remember it because everybody reminds him of it. But there are so many things, like we will literally have this conversation that we're having right now, and then you and I will never hear these words again. Unless somebody comes to us and says, hey, the SEC and the FDA are going to sue you for what you said, then we might listen to it again.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of that where it's like, oh, remember when you said pumpkin dumpster? That was freaking hilarious. And we're like, pumpkin dumpster, pumpkin dumpster, pumpkin dumpster.
I actually have a story about Kane Hodder.
Okay.
He played Jason Voorhees, if you're wondering who Kane Hodder was, in Friday the 13th, part 7, 8, and Jason X.
Did he do the one in space?
That's Jason X. And he played Jason in Jason Goes to Hell. So he played Jason in 7, 8, 9, which is Jason Goes to Hell, and then Jason X. Okay. So I had a booth at Scarefest in like I guess it was 2014. Maybe I was selling masks and stuff. It was 2014 or 2015, and I was back to back with Kane Hodder. So my booth backed Kane Hodder's booth, and the only thing separating us is a curtain, right?
Yeah.
So we were kind of like goofing around with each other throughout the con, me and Kane were, and I would be like talking to somebody trying to sell a mask of like a Part 7 Jason, and these big beefy arms would come through the curtain and wrap their fingers around my throat from behind me. And I would still be talking and slowly being pulled back into the curtain. And the person trying to buy the mask, that they didn't know that it was actually Kane Hodder that was pulling this guy that they're talking to.
Oh, that's genius.
And he's a really cool dude. I got to spend a whole weekend back to back with him. He was very, very pleasant.
Now, because you won't do it on your own volition, correct me if I'm wrong, but you actually created versions of the Jason mask that the stuntmen that were Jason actually purchased because of their exactitude in replication. Is that correct?
Yes. CJ Graham I made one of him. He played Jason in Part 6, Jason Lives. And I sculpted the face that's underneath the hockey mask.
Yeah.
Because we have behind the scenes photos and stuff of it, of what it all looked like. Because even in movies where you don't see his face, they still have a full face design underneath the hockey mask. So I found a lot of the behind the scenes pictures and stuff and remade it into a bust. and CJ Graham loved it, and he got one of them. Yeah, and I've actually seen it. He's done like lives before, and I've seen it on a shelf in his house.
Really?
So yeah, that was pretty cool. Also, yeah,
That is really cool. Well, no, you said also. What else were you going to say? Because I know you were feeling like you were being braggy, like the whole war hero thing. But what were you going to say?
the proudest thing I did though was whenever Horror Hound got me to remake, because Tom Morgan played the imposter Jason in Part 5, A New Beginning. And Tom Morgan was going to come to Horror Hound, and he did, and dress up as Jason in Part 5 and do photo ops with fans of the franchise. The problem is that movie was made in fucking 85, I think, 1985. So those prosthetics for the Jason get up and clothes, it's long gone. And if they're not gone, they're in some collector's house somewhere in Brazil or California, God knows, Canada, God knows wherever. The point is, all that stuff is gone. So all that stuff has to be remade for him to do this costumed photo op as Jason. And if you're wondering, Part 5 is the iconic Jason, the only mask in the entire franchise that has the blue chevrons on it, the hockey mask.
Oh, instead of the red ones.
Instead of red. Which was kind of a hint to the audience. Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen this movie from 1985, it turns out that it wasn't Jason the entire movie, but a guy pretending to be Jason.
It was a Democrat. So you'd switch sides.
He had switched
red
the blue chevrons, red chevron. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
But so Horror Hound hired me to remake his undermask specifically to Tom Morga. So I was able to get his head measurements and neck measurements, and I was able to remake his, and he still uses that today at conventions.
That's crazy.
So if you take a picture with Tom Morga in costume at a con, no matter what con it is, Scarefest or Texas Frightmare or fucking Mad Monster Party, or choose one of the hundreds in the United States, and you take a picture with Tom Morga in costume as Jason in Part 5, I made that mask that he's wearing. The latex.
And just to give people, now correct me if I'm wrong, Kent, but we saw we were at Mask Fest, which was right across the hall from Horror Hound. They were doing them at the same time, and there was one booth in the back corner, and they had the most unbelievably amazing. Okay, hold on. These weren't silicone. No, they were silicone. These were silicone masks, not PVC.
Latex. Well, there's a mixture of silicone and latex masks.
There were, but there was one of the Jason the Jason undermask that a guy was actually buying, and the gal was putting it on him. And if anybody's wondering what the undermask looks like, now correct me if this is the same type that you made, but the guy put it on, and then it looked like he had just put a butthole on his face, because his face was peeking through like he was being born again.
Yeah, the face is cut out of it because it's going to have a hockey mask on it.
Yeah, and so for convenience, it didn't need to obscure the face that's underneath. So is that the same undermask you're talking about that you had built?
That's the same kind of mask I made for Tom Morga. Yeah.
Man, those are just amazing. Like, I gained such a heavy level of appreciation on top of what I already had for masks, because I went to the Art Institute for computer animation, but some of the classes that I took in addition to that were maquette building and practical effects. And so we were learning a lot of armatures and maquettes, which are all, it's building the small versions or the textured versions of what ends up becoming the costume parts or pieces. So, but I gained so much more appreciation because you walked me around and you gave me kind of a private tour. Well, you gave me a private tour back behind the curtain, and that was weird. But at each booth, you showed me like what was cool, what meant something, what was cheap, what was a kind of a phoning it in way of doing it. And I just gained so much more appreciation for something I already loved with that. And then you introduced me to the guy that that you worked with, because I don't know if people know this, but Kent actually worked with a guy for a while doing masks and pieces and parts, right? And so Jeremy Kinley.
Yes.
And he was a great guy.
He is a great guy. Still a great guy. Still alive.
You know what?
He could snap both of us in half like a toothpick.
Yeah, he seemed, I saw his head through all the masks that were in front of.
Oh, Jeremy Kinley wasn't at Mask Fest.
No, who was the guy that you turned around and he went, "Hey, Kent," because you worked with him. Back corner, we had just finished the butthole mask thing. You turned around because you asked the guy. You said, "Hey, and I used to work with so and so," and he says, "Oh, he's right there."
Oh, you're talking about Brandon Scott Murphy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I never worked with. Oh well, I mean, we've always been friends. We've been friends for a long time, but I never worked with him.
Oh, I thought you had helped him.
We talked and exchanged ideas and stuff, but we've never worked together. The guy you're talking about that I worked with was Jeremy Kinley, who wasn't at Mask Fest. Jeremy actually still runs a silicone mask making business in Lexington, Kentucky called Dark Design Studios.
Oh, cool.
We made licensed Predator suits.
That's what it was. Predator suits. And they were licensed by
Universal Studios. Yeah.
Universal Studios. So what did you do with that? What was your job?
Just helped with molds, casting, painting, stuff like that. We hung out a lot and sculpted, and it was really just a hangout set. It was always so much fun to be with Jeremy. And the guy's a bodybuilder, so it was good to be around somebody that actually lives healthily. That was a good break from. The guy I don't know how he does it, but he eats for fuel. So he would just boil chicken breast. Just boil it.
Just inhale them.
Eat it on brown rice. No spices, nothing, no seasoning. And I would be watching him eating it just trying not to gag. I'd be like, "How do you do that, man?" He's like, "I don't like it either, but it's about fuel. It's not about it's not about taste."
That's what these meal prep meals are that they send. They're this company, MEP Meals. They make them for bodybuilders and people that are cutting weight for a strategic reason or whatever. And I just have them send them to me because they're healthy and everything. But I've been eating through my diet by eating late at night and string cheese on top of them. I'm not doing good.
Cup burritos.
Cup burritos. I
did find an interesting thing you did in the hotel room to avoid over drinking was pouring half of your unhealthy beverages on your bed.
Bedspread. Yeah, it keeps you from consuming the whole thing. I mean, some of it does make it through subdermally as you sleep at night through your calf muscle.
Yeah.
But that's all right. But anyway, I was going to say I can relate with that because the meals that I eat are not seasoned or anything. It's asparagus, like a lump of brown rice and then meat. And they've seasoned it a little, but there's nothing bad in it. So I can imagine, I can relate with that.
And that's, what's the meal company that sends the
MEP? They're a local
MEP for Caucasians. They have MEP for African Americans, and that does have seasoning and stuff in it.
Yeah, they do.
But the Caucasian MEP is very basic. It's just
they've got them for every ilk, really. You got MEP for African Americans, and it replaces asparagus or other white people vegetables for your collard greens. So you'll get collard greens, chicken universally across the board. Doesn't matter, with the exception of if you go with the Jewish MEP meals. They are kosher, and that's good. That's really good.
What does kosher mean?
It means that during the manufacturing process, it has been blessed. It has been blessed by a rabbi.
What doesn't mean anything.
Some of the rabbinical faith. Well, to them it does. To them, it's very important. Because kosher has a timeliness as far as when it can or should be consumed, and that's very important.
The blessing wears off.
No, the blessing doesn't wear off, but
the blessing has a shelf life.
The time when you eat it has a window, like when you're supposed to eat kosher items, or So there's that. They'll swap out the chicken for gefilte fish though in those.
Why?
They also have it
Gefilte fish.
because that's a very popular foodstuffs amongst the Jewish Legion. I think that's what they call them, Jewish Legion. If you get the ICP version, they swap out the rice, the vegetables, and the meat for Fago and fruit by the foot.
I'm just looking at gefilte fish,
And
with all due respect giving to the Jewish faith, it looks absolutely disgusting.
yeah, well, yeah. Now, to be fair, there's a Mormon MEP meal that they have on the shelf. And I don't really prefer to have them because I get it at every funeral that I ever go to. But if you get the Mormon one, it's orange Jello with carrot shreds in it and casserole.
Look at that.
Right? But just imagine being able to eat something the same way that you eat a rice ball. Yum. You know what's funny is that's how my soup ends up looking after I put my sleeve of saltine crackers in it. You could form it into a ball.
Yeah, that's the way I'm a chili. I really just eat chili with my crackers.
Exactly. And I'm also very uncreative with the soup that I like. I'll eat cream of mushroom soup, which is basically, I've heard now, like a supplemental recipe ingredient, not actually something you're supposed to eat directly, but I do. Cream of mushroom, cream of chicken with a sleeve of saltine crackers, turns it into like a formable paste. You could turn it into like a little person in front of you, and then you're like, oh, I'm going to eat you, and you eat them like a gingerbread cookie.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Because soup is a good conversation to have. With your chili, grilled cheese or no grilled cheese?
Oh my gosh, grilled cheese.
Yeah,
100%.
absolutely. But grilled cheese also with the chicken noodle soup.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, okay. With chicken noodle, I could either go tuna sandwich, or grilled
Fuck
cheese.
You.
I prefer the tuna sandwich with like the little cut up pickles in it. Pickles
with chicken noodle soup.
Yeah.
I think that's illegal.
Or the chicken salad where you do the canned chicken and then you put grapes sliced, chopped up in it really small, grapes, and then little almond slivers in it. Oh, it's so glorious. On a croissant, or as my wife insists on calling them a croissant. I'm like, why do you call it a croissant? Just call it croissant.
You're the kind of guy that likes grapes and chicken salad.
It's so good.
That's so disappointing.
The closest I ever came to like falling in love with another woman was one time I was at my business partner's house and we were working out in his office in the garage. And he's like, hey, I have to go run some errands, but my wife's making us lunch. So when you're ready, just go in. And somehow she had like Martha Stewarted chicken salad into this majestic meal. And I couldn't keep my desire off of my face. And she looks at me and she's like, are you in love with me? And I was like, I am in love with you. This sandwich is glorious. She's like, this will never go anywhere. And I was like, I know, but let me have this moment. And she's like, go ahead. And I ate that sandwich and I just stared deeply into her eyes as she continued to prepare a Lunchable for her child. And then I went back to work.
Well, let me ask you this. PB&J with chili.
No.
That's an obsession that I developed actually in school because I didn't know it was a combination until school lunches started serving peanut butter and jelly with chili. And I remember being probably in the 7th grade and trying that for the first time and it changing my fucking life.
Okay, then you just lost ground. You lost ground because
I did not lose ground because you're eating tuna with chicken noodle soup. And everybody, at least half the people would go, yes, PB&J with chili.
No, they won't.
Even Jess was shaking her head when I said PB&J with chili.
Societally, you didn't lose ground. But where you lost ground was, you know how we always argue on the show things like, oh, well, you're an extremist but you're also duplicitous in the fact that you say you don't like XYZ people, but then you give a pass to
right. What you're going to say, a hatred of sweet with savory.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I'll give
dare you? PB&J with chili. I also like drinking milk with chili, even if I don't have a PB&J.
Oh, I love milk with hearty meal deserves
Yeah.
a glass of milk. Hearty meal deserves a glass of milk. I'll say it.
Ice cold though, like almost frozen.
Oh yeah, just almost skull freeze. Like you know that cow that gave birth to that milk utterly hated the experience.
I do want to say something that happened to me at Horror Hound that I forgot to mention on Monday's or Tuesday's episode.
What?
We've got a listener, Allison, who I consider a friend now. She's been at every meet and everything, and she's a longtime listener. So I know Allison. I'm familiar with her and her face and her voice and everything. But what I'm not familiar with of Allison's is her children. I had never met them.
Yeah.
So imagine my shock and confusion when I was at Horror Hound minding my own business. I was doing something. I don't remember what I was doing. Probably something very important. And I get a tap on my shoulders. And I turn around in this sea of people, and there's standing there what looks to be, I would have to guess 13, 14-year-old girl. She looks me right in my big, dumb green eyes, straight-faced. And I've never seen this girl in my life, remember? And she says, I just wanted to tell you that you look like Lizzo.
How old did you say she was?
She's probably 12, 13, I guess.
Oh, that's brilliant.
And Allison's in the comment section right now. She said she's 11.
Oh, she's 11.
Yeah.
Hi,
And
Allison.
let me tell you something. You've worked with me for a long time. You know, it takes a lot for me to be speechless.
Yes.
I very rarely am at a loss for words, but I've got like an imaginary, how my thought processes work. Imagine a Rolodex. So like somebody says something to me and then my head goes flipping through the Rolodex to what the answer is. Right. But this is what happened when that complete stranger that was also a child told me that I looked like Lizzo. And I was like looking into her eyes, like maybe for some autism.
Something that would make her this honest with a stranger.
Or like maybe I was thinking like, oh, she's got to have something wrong with her. Like, so what I did, my response was I smiled and I said, thank you. Because I didn't want her to think that she didn't do a good job. And then I wanted to pat her on the head. You know, like you did a really good job just then. And then before I got to the head pat, I looked up and saw Allison at the end of the aisle just cracking up because she had just sent her daughter on this mission to dumbfound me, and they succeeded. They won the war because I was like, how do you as a fat, okay, I'll give you that. I am fat, but I'm also
you can't play the flute for crap.
I'm a white bearded man with glasses. So like really the only, like I thought maybe she was like halfway blind so she could just make out shapes.
She saw the shape of Lizzo and was like, just responded.
And it ended up being Allison's daughter. And then I didn't notice it at the time. The girl was wearing a soup shirt. So how I didn't even notice that, I don't know, but I did. I was just so caught off guard. I didn't even realize it, but it was really funny. Oh, wow, Allison in the comment section said she came up with that herself.
Oh, she seems like somebody we should have on a show. And
then I got to meet the kids, the great kids, beautiful kids, and of course you know Allison. So,
yeah. Allison and her sister, Sarah. And her sister's husband. They're the coolest people, all of them. I I'm going to admit this on the air because I know there are people that have sent me things and then they're like, man, I put a lot of time and energy into that and nothing ever happened with it. Sarah works for Southwest and has sent me a package full of Southwest apparel. And I was so excited. And then I took a whole plane flight on this last trip and I didn't wear any of it. And so I wanted to apologize publicly to Sarah because I don't know what I was thinking and I need to circle back. Okay. Can I tell about my little tiny Southwest experience really quick? The one at the desk, Jess, just at the desk, just that part. Okay. So as it happens, my flights usually don't go the way I plan. In this case, I was like business select, which is sort of like being a king. I'm not bragging, but I was like the king of Southwest. And so I was business select. I was A2, which means I'm getting on the plane second, right after old people, children, and handicapped people. So it's more like 9.5 because there was one person without any legs. So I'm sitting there waiting for my turn to get on. And then they suddenly say, please come to the desk. And that beep beep was my name, my actual name, Sam Swenson. So I go to the desk and the guy was rummaging through some stuff. He was fastidiously trying to figure something out. I look to the left and there's this little lady.
I think that was probably a bad idea. You should have switched, I don't know, the first letter in your first and last name, at least switch it up.
All right, let me try that again.
Yeah, switch up the first letter.
Okay. Scam Swensob.
No, just switch up the first letter
of each. Oh, yeah, Sam Swenson.
Yeah.
That's good. I like that. So I was there and there's this little lady sobbing next to me. She's in a wheelchair and she's sobbing. And then the guy goes, Mr. Swenson, would you be willing to forego this flight? And we'll put you on the next flight. This woman had her flight from LaGuardia messed up and she's trying to get to your destination for a surgery. And in my head, I'm like, two things happened. One, obviously, I'm not going to say no. I never would. Even if they were like, hey, would you just skip flights? That they asked me, because now I feel special. And they're like, there's nothing special about this. We just want you to skip flights. I'd be like, yeah, but you asked me. And that means that there's something special about me. I will do it.
Yeah,
like,
you're Mormon. I knew you were going to say yes.
Yeah. And so I would have said yes, but then there's this lady sobbing next to me. Like, I'm like, in what world do you bring any human to that desk and they say, no, I've got a tea time in the morning. I'm sorry. I mean, you'd have to have such a one-up that you had to, yours was more important than wheelchair lady surgery at your destination. Anyway, I said yes. And then they said, I heard him murmur to somebody else something about the next flight was at 10 p.m. And this is like 3:30 in the afternoon. And I'm like, oh, that's a long wait. And then a couple things happen. He comes back to me. He's like, okay, sir. So the next flight that we can get you on is in the morning at 7 a.m. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you got to be kidding. I'm in Denver. So I was like, okay, all right. Yeah. But then it kind of worked out. I'd like to say that the best thing that happened was I helped a woman get to surgery. And maybe she got out of that wheelchair. I'd like to say that's the best thing that happened. But what the best thing actually that happened was they refunded my flight. The next flight was free. And then they gave me $2,300 in flight vouchers that I can use moving forward to fly anytime I want, probably several times, to Kent's house.
Oh, fuck.
And I was like, yes. So that's why I slept on my sister's couch. Although 2 days in a row of getting up at 4:45 a.m., I'm not wired for that.
Oh, fuck.
We have a special...
I think you ruined by saying yes, you completely ruined her chances of ending up in the back of a box truck with John Candy and his polka van.
I know. And he could have been there.
Polka, polka. And that was a Home
Now-
Alone reference for people
Hold
that
on.
weren't
I'm going to say,
on board.
I need to text
You could tell
something.
Jessica wasn't on board.
Why does it do this? I can't see the back door again. I can't see this. So Jess, can you watch the text for me and tell me if you can get an answer to this? Because Raven is in the back door. And I just want to know, can I publicly congratulate? That's all I need to know from Raven. And can you tell me if she says yes or no to that? And then because it's not every day that
Yes.
somebody is getting.
Yeah.
Okay. Raven's getting married.
Yay.
I just got a text from you, Sam, that said, "Be right back talking to a man about a horse."
Which is how we say it in Idaho when you have to go to the bathroom. Well, got to go talk to a man about a horse. That's what we say. Don't you guys say that?
You know, you can't put that on your shelf after you buy it, right? And ignore it.
You could. You can. You could. You shan't, though. Anyway, Raven's getting married. She's got a date in October, so we wanted to say congratulations to Raven on her upcoming nuptials. She was nice enough to send us invites to her nuptials in October. Chase, I don't think she sent one to you, but she said something like, "I don't want Chase to go." I can't remember exactly what she said, but it was something like, "I don't want Chase to go. I shan't have Chase there." That was what it was. I shan't.
It's understandable.
It's fine.
I've gotten actually probably 12 unread messages from Raven because they always say the same thing every time she's drinking, and they just say, "I don't like Chase."
Right?
She just gets drunk and messages me that I don't like Chase.
I don't know
She's
what
not
it
the
is.
only one that sends that either.
Yeah. We've actually thought about making a podcast called Everybody Hates Chase. And then all it is all the voicemails that we get about Chase and his shows and his editing and his shows and the fact that he somehow figures out how to make 3 podcasts, edit all of our stuff, and then all of the I don't know if you guys know this, everybody, but all of the Marco Polos he sends are from the coast. Like he's on the beach in Oregon and it's always gray and it looks like Stephen King's hiding behind the rocks. But somehow the guy gets around. He really gets around. He's got a work ethic that is invaluable. I'll say it again, but I don't want him to get a big head. So he's not worth more than I'm paying him, just to be clear.
I'm trying to figure out how much of a drive it is to Illinois.
Yeah.
Specifically Springfield, Illinois.
I can't attend because I will be on a hunting trip. And also I have a funeral. Wouldn't that be funny if you knew that there was a funeral 2 months in the future? Kent.
We did that for Kano.
But you had him in a freezer.
That's true. That's true. It's a 6-hour drive from me to where Raven is getting married, but she looks like she's marrying a really cool dude, Jacob here.
Hey, Jacob.
I feel like I could
he can hear that through Raven's ears. Yeah, you would. Anyway, congratulations to Raven. Also, speaking of Raven, we have patch packs available right now. We designed up a bunch of packs of patches with sayings on them from our most popular sayings. Patch Pack 01 and Swears Pack 01 are available right now. And many of them are inspired by Raven's original designs. And so thank you, Raven, for your original designitude when it comes to that. Also, I learned something pretty crazy. I put blood, sweat, and tears into these patches and make a couple packs. Ask Jess, took me like, I don't know, what are we on, 5 weeks for me to make all this stuff happen, make it happen. Like the first comments are like, "These are amazing. I don't know what I'd do with patches. Could you make some into stickers?" And I'm like, "Oh, that would have been so much more easy." So get ready because in the next probably day or so, I'll be adding the sticker pack 01 and swears pack 01. Jess is nodding like, yeah, that'll happen around the same time as Raven's wedding.
That'll happen as likely as having a bunch of little thumb drives with the first couple episodes of our shows on it for the booth at
CrimeCon.
Well,
shut up. You know it'll. Oh, I know what happened.
That'll happen when we get to see remember that time we went to Colorado across the United States on 1159 media budget and filmed for days.
It's still a bone of contention with my wife because I never really recouped the cost of that trip, and it was several $1,000s. Oh boy.
Chase said that'll happen when Mike Boudet is a guest on 911 Calls podcast. That'll happen when Aaron Mankey walks up to me at CrimeCon in Orlando, Florida here next month and shakes my hand and says, really big fan of your show.
You know, he could be. I just turned on a key light to give me a little bit of
brush elbows with the guys from True Crime Garage down there in Orlando. So
I'm excited for that because I think what that's going to become is a true crime fist fight.
I've already talked to Chase about it. He's going to go low. I'm going high.
I'll go right in the middle.
Go low.
I'll do what that guy did in that fight where he knocked the guy out and then pulled his pants down.
Yeah, and sucked his dick.
We'll show them. Yeah, we'll show them.
I'll knock you out and suck your dick.
We're going to show these guys. Jess, can you make sure that this little clip is either deleted completely or that it makes it into a reel and that True Crime Garage sees it? Not sure which one's the right way to go with this. Anyway,
I feel like that would be like good, like if you're going to be mean, but you want to add, like you want it to be bittersweet. If you hired a hooker to follow you around to suck the dick of whoever you knocked out.
Yeah. It's one way to do it.
That way, like, there's no bad feelings. Like, no, I feel like if I got knocked out, but then you wouldn't even, that's the best way to wake up.
The best part of waking up is waking up. That's how I feel about waking up now that I'm 48 next month.
Yeah, me too, with a heart problem.
Yeah, you're just like, I did it
the
again.
The best part of waking up is being thankful
that you woke up. Hey, Kent. What did you bring for us today? He says, excitedly in an anticipation, knowing what he brought for to us today.
Today is Creepypasta Friday, operator.
Yay.
And I am actually excited for this one because this one was written by one of our listeners and friends. This comes from Teresa Lohman. And we're very familiar with Teresa and her husband, Stephen.
Teresa Lohman Hunter. I think you have
Teresa Lohman Hunter. Teresa Lohman Hunter. She wrote the creepypasta about and it ended up being a cat that was locked in the house with the dead owner. Or no, it was Apocalypse. The apocalypse had happened, and it was from the point of view of a cat, but you didn't know until the end of the story.
Yeah, I was blown away. I loved that one so much.
So this one's also written by Teresa. It comes with a little bit that says, "Hope you guys had a good weekend. I just finished editing this submission for Creepypasta Friday. I was inspired to write this on a good gummy and wine kind of night last week." So, and it is called Nature versus Nurture and the Choices We Make. And action. 1,000,000 miles a minute, my brain races. In an instant, fragmented memories of my mid-1960s childhood come flooding back. Our stately red brick home on the tree-lined street, a springtime rain lightly dampening my face from the safety of our front porch. Friendly mailman, Mr. Thurman. I remember never charging him for lemonade on hot summer days. In the fall, it was the best goddamn trick-or-treating neighborhood around. And the holidays? I have so many fond memories of my mother, dutifully in the kitchen, taking her family on a culinary adventure to a different part of the world each night, but her cookies were the best. I can almost smell the buttery aroma wafting through the air. My father wasn't far from her side. He often did her prep as she cooked, and she'd help him with any and all of his many projects, work or otherwise. They made such a great team. I have no complaints of how I grew up. I had parents that loved and adored me. They believed in me too. Heaven's here. That wasn't in the story. She's just my actual wife that's named Heaven. She's here. Hello. I love you so much. You're looking mighty fine.
You're looking mighty fine in that I just pooped shirt.
Sugar, sugar, how'd you get so fly? Sugar, sugar, how'd you get so fly? Okay.
The door's still open. Does she need something?
No, she was just saying, hey.
Oh, you were just ventilating. Okay, sorry.
It gets hot in here if I leave the door closed too much.
Small studios.
Okay, back to this. I have no complaints of how I grew up. I had parents that loved and adored me. They believed in me too, but my path in life wasn't up to them. This has nothing to do with them. I myself made every choice up to this point, and I made some damn good choices to have it all. I attended an accredited college on scholarship, came out with a great career in finance, good friends, beautiful house, the kids, the wife. Okay, so maybe not the best picker when it comes to women. I just attract crazy. Like a magnet, we're drawn to each other. The sex, though. Crazies know how to fuck. Fucked her into having 2 amazing kids over the course of our 6 years together, and man, was she a looker. Her face appears in my mind. Sarah, you were so beautiful, till the very end. She had a smile that would light up the room. Isn't that the old cliche? If only Sarah wouldn't have pushed me, kept her mouth shut and her ass in the kitchen. It was the holidays, for fuck's sake. A time to make lifelong family memories like I had growing up. She brought out the crazy in me, ungrateful towards all my hard work. Nothing was ever good enough for her. Not the house, not the money, not even the kids. It was always, how was your day, babe? Did you end up closing on that big deal you've been working on? I hope Jonathan makes a lot of friends next year in kindergarten. I'm sure Emily will miss her big brother. Christ, woman, enough. Jonathan's bright green eyes flashed before me, his sense of wonderment, pure 5-year-old joys of curiosity. Daddy, is Mommy still sweeping? I smiled, thinking of his adorable mispronunciation of the word sleep. I can almost hear our sweet Emily's bubbly giggle as she bounded towards the sparse presence under the massive tree. That sound rang true to my core. There's no better music on earth than that of your toddler's belly laughs, and she always loved Christmas lights. Suddenly, I'm back there, holding her in my arms, watching those flashing reds and blues out of our front bay window as the snow falls softly on that cold, still morning. The kids. My only prayer, if I believed in prayer, would be to see them again as successful adults, maybe with children and families of their own. The truest form of eternal life, if you ask me, is one's lineage. Be brave, my beautiful children, I think to myself. The bright fluorescent bulbs hum as I lead them into the tiny room. Vinyl tan table, no frills, it's sterile. The formalities of it all. I don't need much assistance onto the table. I can't help but think how our lives could have been so much different. Everything was fine until the stock market crashed. Black Monday, they called it. Back in October of 87. I was under so much pressure, but I can't go back. I'm here now. A nurse wipes the crook of my arm with an icy cold alcohol swab. A prick of the skin sends a wave of heat into my arm, a warm web engulfing my limb. I feel it speed throughout my body with every beat of my racing heart. My eyes dart under tightly closed lids. I feel tears begin to swell. This is it, and it's what I deserve for Sarah. Exhale. Time and place, 3:25 p.m., San Quentin State Prison, sir. I tell you, Teresa, I know we've only done 2. She delivers.
Holy cow. And you're like, I'm on edge to see how the twist is going to hit me when I walk past the corner. Wow, that was good.
And then here's Teresa's writer's notes. Just a normal This was just a normal family until Dad killed the mom over nothing. Just his insecurities and mental health issues, coupled with the normal stresses of life. And as not to victim blame, I wanted to be sure the reader knew that Sarah was perfectly normal and the guy was just an entitled, wackadoo, coked out douche of Wall Street.
Oh.
I really liked it. That's 2 in a row.
But I don't want to make her feel nervous, so it was meh. Right? If we say that, then she'll be like, "Oh, I'm bringing it next time." It was amazing.
Loved it.
It was amazing. So good. Wow. That was really. Let's just take a moment and
I
drink
want
my
to
Dr.
challenge the listeners to make a creepypasta / erotica that features Chase and Op.
Stop. Wait.
I want a Chase and Op erotica creepypasta.
But let's pretend that Kent didn't say that, because when Kent asked the audience to do stuff, they somehow do it. I don't know why, but let me take this one, Kent. And I want the audience to write 911 calls podcast episodes.
And at the end of all of them, put in some Chase and Op erotica. And I want it to have a cover and everything. A cover, I don't know, maybe Chase, he's got a button-up white shirt. The top 8 buttons are unbuttoned, showing his chest a little bit. He's got long, flowing hair. He's standing in a field in front of a mountain, in front of a brilliant white steed. And he's looking off in the distance.
And I have the wings of eagles in both of my hands.
A small Indian girl.
Oh, so, dang it.
She's in need of some colonization.
Gross. Oh, jeez. He unzipped his gentrification and let it roll out onto the carpet floor and then into the table and into the hands and the arms of
No, Raven said, no, Op is the steed. It's got Op's head on it. And there's a scene where you're stuck in the mud.
Gross. Oh. Well, that was a really good one. That was a good creepypasta.
It was. Good job, Teresa. 2 in a row, you've killed it.
Well, I brought something today. I wanted to talk about Beethoven.
You say you're Beethoven?
You familiar with Beethoven?
I mean, ovens, you can use them for anything.
Or Beethoven, as he's also known.
Oh, Beethoven. Yeah. Moonlight Sonata. It's one of my favorite tunes. I listen to it all the time, and that's true.
Okay. So we all know what Beethoven looked like. You know, the grumpy busts that sit on a bunch of people's piano tops, and his hair and everything. And some of you might have even known that toward the end of Beethoven's life, he became progressively and more progressively deaf, which especially in his career would have been catastrophic. I kind of argue that we could still be podcasters if one of us were deaf. Okay, here's how. Can't you say something and I'll be the deaf. No, you say you're the not deaf one.
Okay.
No, you're not. You just talk normal. Oh, wait, you were? Okay. You talk normal.
Okay.
And then I'll be the deaf one in this situation because it's Kent and the op, but the op is deaf. Go ahead and say something.
Okay.
No, You're not supposed to pretend you're deaf and just talk mouthing
I
into the
wasn't
microphone.
pretending I was deaf. I was pretending you're deaf.
Well, but pretend the audience can hear you, and then I'm the only one that can't.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Hey, up. I've decided to quit 1159 Media. Turns out I'm going to go work for Jack full time. I'm actually in the process of writing my own creepypasta. It's called Thanks Bill Part 2.
Stop. See, we could still do it because that's all I do on the show. And anything I was normally doing when I could hear, people will be happy that I'm not doing it anymore. That's perfect. So don't worry, guys. If I go deaf, same show. Same. Did you say thanks, Bill Part 2? Wow. I actually never heard it. I didn't listen to it. And anyway,
Good writing.
In the dark hours of you know what? I might give myself a little bit. No, I'm not going to give myself some music. In the dark hours of a storm-laden Monday in March of 1827, the genius of classical music, Ludwig van Beethoven, breathed his last breath. The famed German composer had been grappling with a debilitating illness for months, his body betraying him with symptoms of jaundice, visibly swollen limbs and abdomen. I feel like that's how I looked at Horror Hound. And every breath seeming to be an immense challenge. Again, this dude's just like me. After Beethoven died, his loved ones went through his belongings and they found a will that he had written 25 years earlier. In the will, Beethoven asked his brothers to tell the word about his health problems. He said that he wanted people to know that he had suffered a lot, but that he had also created great music despite his pain. Beethoven's brothers honored his wishes and published the will. It kind of helped to explain why Beethoven had sometimes been so difficult to deal with, as he was known to be difficult, but kind of off and on, like kind of bipolar. Also showed the world the strength and determination of a man who overcame great obstacles to create some of the most beautiful music ever written. It's common knowledge, like I said, that the legendary composer had lost most of his hearing by his mid-40s. A tragic twist in Beethoven's life was a cruel irony that he wished the world to comprehend, both from an emotional viewpoint and from a medical one. Beethoven's doctor died almost 20 years before him. However, almost 22 centuries later, a group of determined researchers took up the mantle to fulfill Beethoven's wish. They used advanced genetic tools to analyze DNA from verifiable samples of the composer's hair. The researchers were able to identify a number of genetic mutations that may have also contributed to Beethoven's deafness. They also found evidence that Beethoven may have had a rare genetic condition called Waardenburg syndrome, which can cause hearing loss, hair color changes, and eye abnormalities. The researchers' findings provide new insight into Beethoven's life and music. They also offer hope for future research into the causes of hearing loss and other genetic conditions of other Beethovens. Johannes Krauss, a biochemist at Germany's esteemed Max Planck Institute for Evolutionary Anthropology, expressed, quote, "Our primary goal was to delve deeper into Beethoven's notorious health issues, especially his graduated hearing loss, which began in his late 20s and culminated in his total deafness by 1818. The root cause of his hearing ailment remained elusive even to his personal doctor, Dr. Johann Adam Schmidt.
Good doctor.
Starting off as mere ringing in his ears in his youth, Beethoven's condition evolved to an intolerance for loud noises and eventually a significant loss of hearing in higher pitches, ultimately producing his absolute inability to watch The View. Ultimately sealed the fate of his performing career as well. The pain and frustration were palpable in Beethoven's letters to his brothers, where he confided about being, quote, hopelessly afflicted, even contemplating the end of his life. However, hearing loss wasn't the maestro's only affliction. Chronic abdominal pains and regular bouts of diarrhea plagued him from his early 20s. Now, this is hundreds of years, over a century before Chipotle was even invented. So alarmingly, 6 years before his death, symptoms hinting at liver disease surfaced. So this disease is believed to have played a significant role in his untimely death at age 56. He died, Beethoven died, he was 8 years older than me. So many similarities between Beethoven and myself. It's shocking.
Right.
In 2007, forensic sleuthing on a
Both of you are tone deaf.
Yeah. But yet power through it to create some of the most powerful content, I don't know, ever recorded, maybe? Would you say? Would you say that?
I would agree with that, yes.
Yeah. In 2007, forensic sleuthing on a supposed lock of Beethoven's hair postulated that lead poisoning might have expedited his demise. Given the prevalent use of lead vessels for drinking and lead-infused medical treatments during that era, the theory is pretty plausible. But this recent study, published in March of 2023, discredited the previous lead theory. Shockingly, it revealed that the tested hair sample was not Beethoven's, but belonged to an unidentified woman. So this hair that they'd been testing all along was the wrong gender.
Where did they get it from?
Portland? I don't know. However, samples genuinely traced back to Beethoven indicated a likely cause of death, a hepatitis B infection, which, if you know your hepatitis B sits between A and C.
Yeah.
And this one aggravated by his alcohol consumption and multiple predisposing factors for liver disease. Regarding Beethoven's other ailments, Krauss admitted, quote, "We couldn't pinpoint any definitive cause for his hearing or gastrointestinal challenges, period." End quote. Intriguingly, further genetic examination revealed a discrepancy between the Y chromosome in Beethoven's hair samples and modern descendants from his paternal lineage. So the question kind of arises, was Beethoven's branch, genealogically speaking, kind of doing a peanut butter falcon? We don't know for sure. But this discrepancy implies infidelity in the generations leading up to the composer's death. So what that means is mom and dad, grandma and grandpa, great-grandma and grandpa, they might have been going to the horse barn with more fillies than they were affiliated with, if you get my
I'm confused.
drift.
Why does this?
Well, they think that the DNA shows that the rest of his lineage and those people that are of the lineage of the Beethoven family, which weren't necessarily from just him, you know, other people were Beethovens, and they're all part of this tree, that they weren't predisposed to the same things that Beethoven was. So somebody in Beethoven's direct line, Beethoven's mom and dad.
Oh,
or his
okay.
grandma and grandpa,
I see.
yeah,
There was
they were at
stranger DNA inserted into Beethoven.
Yes,
Yeah.
they were at the youth group prom doing things only the others could imagine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tristan Begg, right. Tristan Begg, a biological anthropologist now affiliated with the University of Cambridge in the UK, elucidated, quote, "This discovery suggests an extramarital event somewhere between Hendrik van Beethoven's conception in 1572, Belgium, and Ludwig van Beethoven's in 1770, Germany." Exactly how he sounded. This revelation, as unexpected as it is, proves that even centuries after his death, the enigmatic life of Beethoven continues to fascinate and surprise. Also, what's fascinating to me is, why do we need the letter C in the word fascinate? One can only imagine how he would have reacted, knowing that his request would unearth such deeply concealed family secrets. The mysteries of that faithful stormy night in 1827, when Beethoven's acquaintances clipped locks of his hair, seem far, far from over.
Well, thanks, Op.
Chase just had the look on his face. He's like, recording for the day's done.
There he is on his deathbed. Somebody, and I was thinking, like, imagine
That looks like a sketch.
Huh?
That looks like a sketch.
It is. It was actually recorded. The guy was sitting beside him on his deathbed, Joseph Deinhauser. And it's like, makes you wonder, like, I'm just trying to die here. Like, you don't want people to take a picture of you when you aren't at the right angle. Right? Like,
Man.
don't you hate it when you're like, hey, look over here, click. And you're like, well, that was kind of fucked up of you to do. But imagine you're just trying to be dying with your fucking mouth all hanging open like a hospice patient. And somebody's trying to snap a picture of you, but the snap lasts 3 hours.
It gets
They
that
can
whole
only draw
fade of your cheek.
Yeah, he can really work on that big dick nose.
Yeah, he probably had a lot of time to sit there, because at this point, this was a still life. This wasn't like, this was like sketching fruit. This wasn't sketching an adult human, because it wasn't going to move. This brings me to the happy ending of the episode. I didn't get to talk about this in the last one, but there was one undocumented part of Horror Hound, which I thought I'd let everybody know, including Kent, know about now. Middle of the day, one of the days at Horror Hound, Kent looks at me deep in the eyes and says, "You want to go up and take a nap?" I was like, "Are you already married? Because if you're not, I'll totally marry you right now."
Right.
So we went to the hotel room and we took a nap. And I was laying there in my kerchief and he in his cap, and he put on his CPAP machine for a long winter's nap. Because I nap without it on, and I don't really know why. Because Kent made a good point. In his sleep, he made a good point. Why we should wear our CPAP machines when we nap. During his nap, something must have happened in a dream or something, and he pulled his CPAP machine off, and it was like laying over his arm. And I don't think he knew that it had happened. But then for the next, 30 minutes to maybe 17 hours, I'm not sure how long it lasted, Kent struggled to breathe while he slept. And it sounded something like this.
My tits get in the way of my breathing.
And I almost recorded it on my phone, but I thought, no. I asked myself, what would Jane Goodall do? And the answer came back, let them be. Just let them be naturally. Don't focus on it.
Leave only
so I
footprints.
didn't. I almost videoed it, but I didn't. Also, I was impressed to see how long he could sleep in that state without realizing he couldn't breathe.
Oh, I was dying. So thanks, man.
Well, I was right there. If you had started to truly die a la Beethoven, I wouldn't have just sketched you. I would have filmed it. And then I would have put the CPAP on because I would have wanted to film me being benevolent like I was to the wheelchair lady.
Right.
You know, you getting how I create swears patch packs with words on it that I won't even say, knowing that I'm going to benefit financially from their creation and gaslight everybody else. Like, if you want to go to hell, click on the link. And that's your happy ending for the day.
You think you can wear CPAP underwater? Like if I put my CPAP machine beside the pool and then I ran and then I put the mask on and went underwater, could I breathe underwater?
Yeah. I mean, as long as it's a good seal. But it wouldn't be, because if you look on the front of your CPAP machine that faces away from your face, there's a little filter on it to kind of gas off the heavy pressure if you were to legitimately stop breathing. So that would ultimately fill up with water, and then you would have a choice, a really big choice to make.
What?
Drowning or not drowning. Probably be a pretty quick choice too, as far as like how quickly it would happen. And at that point, you got to come up for air, and you're at Great Wolf Lodge, and all the kids are like, ah! You've got poop inside your mask. It's weird.
Oh, because it's Great Wolf Lodge. Yeah.
Anyway.
Bye!
Hugs, everybody.